In July of 2025, an app called T went viral. It was built for women, a place to warn each other about men they dated. To prove you were a woman, you uploaded a selfie, sometimes a photo of your driver's license, then it leaked. Roughly 72,000 images spilled out. More than 13,000 of them were selfies and government-issued ID documents submitted during verification, plus 59,000 images pulled from posts, comments, and private messages. And this wasn't some elite cyber attack. The files were sitting in a misconfigured cloud storage bucket, a bucket that is private by default, meaning somebody had to actively override the security warnings to leave it open. The data ended up posted on 4chan. Deleting it afterward changed nothing. Here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. That leak happened days after the UK switched on a law requiring adult sites, dating apps included, to start collecting identity documents to verify your age. You were told this was about protecting children. It isn't, not anymore. Every surveillance system in history arrived wearing a friendly face. And the friendliest face ever invented is a child's. The pitch is simple, and it sounds unarguable. Kids shouldn't see pornography. Websites should check, that's it. Who could possibly object? So let's not object to that. Let's just follow where the machinery actually goes once you build it. Because the pitch is never the product. For years, these laws kept dying in American courts. The First Amendment kept getting in the way. Courts kept ruling that forcing adults to identify themselves before reading or watching lawful material was a burden on protected speech. Then the door opened. On June 27, 2025, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Free Speech Coalition versus Paxton, upholding a Texas law requiring age verification for adult content. That decision removed the main constitutional obstacle standing in the way of state-level laws, and the floodgates opened through the rest of 2025 and into 2026. By the middle of 2026, roughly half of all U.S. states have enacted some form of age verification or age assurance requirement. And it isn't just America. A parallel wave of national laws has now taken effect across the United Kingdom, the European Union, Australia, and Brazil. There is still no federal mandate in the United States. The Kids Online Safety Act cleared the Senate in 2024 and then died in the House. The states didn't wait. Now watch the boundary move. The argument was pornography, just pornography, a narrow carve-out for the worst of the internet. Look at what's covered by 2026: adult content platforms, social media, e-commerce, delivery services, gambling. Age checks are becoming a baseline requirement across entire industries. Track the legislation, and the categories now include gaming, app stores, and AI chatbots. Read that list again: delivery services, app stores, chatbots. That is not a narrow carve-out. That is an identity layer being welded onto the open internet, one bill at a time. And the architecture is getting deeper. California's Digital Age Assurance Act requires age signals at the device level, starting in 2027. Not the website checking you, the device you're holding, broadcasting a claim about who you are before you've typed a single word. Meanwhile, the rules contradict each other from one border to the next. Italy's regime under the Caivano Decree framework began enforcement in November 2025, requiring pornographic sites to verify users are 18 or older every single session through a third-party service, using national digital identity systems. In the EU, obligations flow through the Digital Services Act for the largest platforms, with Germany, France, and Spain layering their own national document-based requirements on top. Every session, a third party, your national ID. Somewhere along the way, Protect Children quietly became no adult browses anonymously ever again. Let's get concrete. What does a website actually do when the law says, verify this person? Regulators accept several methods, but they're converging on two: document-based date of birth checks and facial age estimation. Self-declaration, the old click here if you're 18 button, is no longer accepted in most regulated contexts. According to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, the most invasive of the common methods pairs a photo of your government ID with a live selfie for matching. And here's the trap. Even when a law forbids retention, you have no way whatsoever to confirm your data was actually deleted. You are asked to trust. That's the entire security model. Trust. Almost none of these sites do the checking themselves. They hand it to a vendor. Which means your passport photo isn't sitting with the company you chose. It's sitting with a subcontractor you've never heard of, in a country you didn't pick, under a retention policy you'll never read. In June 2024, the identity verification vendor AU10TIX left login credentials sitting exposed online for over a year, exposing names, dates of birth, nationalities, ID numbers, and images of the documents themselves. Over a year. Then came Discord. In an attack dated September 20th, 2025, hackers reached data held by one of Discord's third-party support providers. Discord confirmed attackers accessed government ID images, driver's licenses, passports, belonging to users who had appealed an age determination. Names, usernames, emails, contact details, payment method types, the last 4 digits of cards, and purchase history went with them. The attackers demanded a ransom. Around 70,000 users may have had ID photos exposed. Discord said it wasn't breached directly. A third-party vendor was compromised. Reports around the ransom demand claimed the attackers held data on more than 2 million users, including IDs, passports, IP addresses, emails, billing information, and purchase history. Discord had rolled out those UK age checks specifically to comply with the Online Safety Act, the law that required sites carrying pornography and harmful content to have age checks running by July 25th, 2025. Follow that chain. The government mandates identity collection, a platform complies, a subcontractor holds the documents, the subcontractor gets breached, your passport is on a ransom list. Not one link in that chain was you making a choice. And think about the scale. Discord has around 200 million active users. If even a small slice of them ever went through an age appeal, you're talking about potentially millions of identity documents in a queue somewhere. A platform built mostly for gamers ended up feeling obligated to collect passports, which tells you exactly how far the mission creep has already traveled from protect kids from pornography. Uber, X, TikTok, and T have all had their own leaks of sensitive verification-related data. The T and Discord cases expose something regulators keep dodging. They have no real ability to stop data retention or enforce deletion in practice. Especially once third parties sit outside their jurisdiction. The law can order a company to delete your ID. The law cannot unleak it. Whenever this gets raised, someone says, if you've got nothing to hide, what's the problem? The EFF's answer is that age verification is fundamentally incompatible with the anonymity that domestic abuse survivors, journalists, and activists depend on. And the technology itself is not neutral. Facial age estimation misjudges people based on skin tone and gender. A woman hiding from a violent ex now leaves an identity trail every time she opens an account. A journalist's browsing gets tied to a passport number sitting in a vendor's database. A teenager who looks older than they are or younger gets sorted by an algorithm's guess about their face. The people this hurts most are the people who were already most exposed, and the courts haven't settled it. Social media age laws have gone 3 separate ways. Some are in force, like Florida's, Mississippi's, Tennessee's, and New York's Safe for Kids Act. Others in Arkansas, Utah, Ohio, Texas, and Louisiana have been blocked or permanently enjoined, mostly on First Amendment grounds. Half of this is being built while judges are still arguing about whether it's legal at all. Here's the last move, and it's the one that gives the game away. When these laws arrive, people reach for VPNs predictably. It happens every single time. The EFF has watched the same cycle repeat worldwide. A state or country passes a clunky age verification mandate, and VPN usage immediately surges as residents scramble to hold on to their privacy. Florida, Missouri, Texas, Utah, the UK, Australia, Indonesia. So what did lawmakers conclude? Not that people hate being surveilled. Utah decided the VPNs were the problem, becoming, as of May 6th, 2026, the first state in the nation to target the use of VPNs for getting around mandated age gates, though the state has since agreed to hold off enforcement until September 3rd, 2026, after a court challenge. Britain went down a similar road. The House of Lords approved an amendment that would have banned supplying VPN services to UK children. On March 9th, 2026, the Commons voted it down, 321 to 106. But Parliament then enacted a broader power letting ministers restrict children's access to specified internet services and a consultation on whether to point that power at VPNs closed on June 14th of 2026. That's the shape of it. Build a wall. Watch people walk around it, then criminalize walking. That is not child protection logic. That is enclosure logic. Nobody in this story ever said we want your passport. They said, think of the children. And every single step after that followed logically from the step before it, until the internet you use requires proof of who you are before it will show you anything. The Trojan horse was never a lie. It was a true statement, doing a job it was never advertised to do. Kids do need protecting. That was never the question. The question is what you were asked to hand over to get it and who's holding it right now. You'll never find out. That's the design.